Good afternoon, and welcome to our Business Agility video podcast. So each week we spend 30 minutes exploring business and technology topics for growing businesses in Canada. So our topic today is the new normal in e-commerce and how you can win. So our panelists today are Samantha NITON-DEFORGE, myself, Murray QUIBELL, and we're highlighted by our guest panelist, Patty Benitez. Patty is a Senior Vice President with APS Payments, a repay company. So I've known Patty for many years, and we just love the energy and passion she brings to really any meeting. So we'll see that today. But today we'll discuss the changing landscape of e-commerce and retail in North America and how to save money with payment processing and actions you can start to take right now. So our format today in our podcast is interactive. We invite questions from our webinar attendees. So put those in the chat, and also from our Facebook live stream, so just enter comments there. So we'll start with panelist introductions and then get right into our topic. So with that, I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Murray QUIBELL, President of Accurus Solutions, and we are a cloud ERP solutions provider. We feature Acumatica Cloud ERP at our core, and along with integrated partner solutions such as APS Payments. So it is important for us that we deliver a complete solution to our customers, and e-commerce with integrated payments are a big part of that. So we're thrilled to have Patty join us today and share some insights into those topics. So with that, I'll turn it over to Patty.
Thank you so much, Murray, and thank you, Murray and Samantha, for having me here today. It's definitely a pleasure to be able to share a little bit about our industry and what's going on and what we're hearing from other customers out in the field in regards to the current situation and the ideas about how to move forward. As Murray mentioned, I've been with APS for quite a while. I come from working with channels and definitely willing and happy to share our expertise with you. APS Payments is a full service merchant service provider who is fully embedded into Acumatica, offering functionality that will enable customers to accept those online payments through Acumatica. So happy to share some of that information with you today.
Thanks, Patty. And my name is Samantha NITON-DEFORGE, and I work with Accurus Solutions as the Business Solutions Specialist. And I'm very excited to have Patty here with us today, because I think this is something a lot of businesses would just sort of assume is just something, you know, standardized. But I think, Patty, you see a lot of maybe businesses that could be running a little bit more efficiently when it comes to collecting payments in sort of, you know, that omni-channel way. So why I know, and you're a very passionate person just like I am, so why is this so important to you? I think that's where I would want to start today.
I think coming from working in the software industry for a little bit over 20 years, I'm very old school, to the point where I was reminiscing the other day on how I used to process payments. I used to have to receive a fax with card information on it, make a copy of that card information, bring it over to the AR clerk so that she could create the invoice and apply the payment. Needless to say, that is very non-PCI compliant. Nowadays, the millennials, Samantha, are spoiled because they have so many options. Omnichannel, of course, is one of them. What exactly is omnichannel? The ability to accept payments and process transactions anywhere, on any device. And that's exactly what we're looking at right now. People like me who are accustomed to having to hand process items are now given the opportunity, or I should say forced into, having the ability to process any type of transaction on mobile devices, on iPads, at your computer, wherever it is that you want.
Do you feel, I mean, I guess, do you feel that businesses aren't as efficient in most cases nowadays when it comes to collecting payments? Like, you know, we use tools here like Skip the Dishes. I know in the US it's like Grubhub. And yeah, like for people like me, it's almost second nature, right? To be able to use an embedded credit card onto a piece of software, whatever it might be, and just place an order. Do you think businesses aren't just doing as much as they should when it comes to automating and collecting payments?
They were trying not to. And I'll tell you that one of the things that I thought of immediately when the current situation struck us is I have to think of valid reasons why to continue accepting cash and checks. So I try to create the list. My list is still empty. And then when I think about the reasons why automating becomes such a benefit to the companies, to the customers, it's overwhelming. The list is never ending. The benefits that you bring to your business and your customers when giving them the ease of transacting with your company. And here, Samantha, is where I feel that it's important that you keep in touch with what your customers are requesting. I mentioned millennials a lot because you just said it. It is second nature to you to be able to take that Grubhub order, or place it, submit your payment, receive your food. Well, if I'm not able to give you that, who are you going to turn to? Of course, someone that will. And essentially, that would be my competitor. At all costs, I'm trying to avoid that. So yes, I mean, giving you, especially the people that were basically born into this level of technology, the options that you're looking for is critical for my business.
No, and I think that there's some, there's definitely some critical information there as far as businesses go, and really getting more automated when it comes to collecting payments, because everybody else does it, especially in the B2C and the business to consumer base. But I know that you have some topics to talk about as far as what the world of business to business selling is actually looking like as far as, collecting payments, and how to really demystify that and that make that, I guess, more of a reality for someone in a B2B market. Obviously, from a business to consumer market, we know that that is really just revolutionary, and it really wouldn't work any other way for us. But this is something that also exists in the B2B market. So why don't we get into there a little bit?
Let's talk about that. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to share my screen with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bear with me while I get the screen going. So take a look at the screen right now, Samantha. What are the implications of going cashless for merchants? In the United States alone, 40 million customers went online for groceries in April. And I'm talking about late April, right? I've heard millennials talk about, oh my goodness, that was so 30 minutes ago. Think about it. If in April we had this level of statistic, what's happening now? And what's happening during the holiday season when we know everyone's going to be shopping online? Businesses will have to, they're going to be forced to shift to where the opportunities are, not just to stay afloat, but to take advantage of shifts in e-commerce and commerce in general that will long outlast the pandemic. 29.5 million consumers plan to continue working from home. I'm one of them. Again, going back to old school, I used to go to the office. I don't plan on going back to the office. This is it for me. 66% of SMBs will rely more on e-commerce sales after the pandemic. Does that surprise anybody that's on the line right now? So if you have to consider making the change, take a look at the reasons why this change is so important and has to happen sooner than later. Another statistic that I'd like to show is this. You were talking about the B2C space as compared to the B2B space. 82% of B2B buyers want the same experience when they're making business purchases as they have when they're making personal purchases. Murray and I were talking a little while ago, we were talking, we're all consumers, right? And if I'm going to someone that's offering me exactly what I'm looking for, why would I look at a company that is not? We're all looking for that flexibility. And yes, we all get spoiled. When we have the flexibility, we're not willing to give it up. 75% of B2B buyers are saying that having a connected process is important to winning businesses. Ladies and gentlemen who are out there right now, this is why it's so important that you work with a curious. Who else to better teach you how to integrate these solutions in an impartial manner? They know many credit card processors, many distributing type of software packages. Look to your experts for this type of advice. The statistics are telling you what to do. Now it's just a matter of going to Samantha and Murray for the additional advice.
I don't know if we can handle those kinds of volumes, Patty.
You know what, I like a couple of things that points I'll make. I mean, you talked about the connected processes. And so when we talk about omni-channel, it covers off really an omni-channel experience. And so when customers are buying goods, and it's not just for retail anymore, and I think that's I want to piggyback on your point, that if you think about a retail example, the omni-channel experience is that you get the same experience online. So if you hit the website and you buy some goods, you may hit a shopping cart, you may fulfill that cart and then go and buy that. The other thing that might happen is you might walk into a store, but with an omnichannel experience, you want to have the same experience if you're online as if you've walked into the store or as if you've phoned in to the business and that kind of thing. And again, that's a retail example I've made, but you can think of, you might pay for it right there, but maybe you need to return the goods. Well, you could return them in store even after you've bought it online, but you want to have that consistent customer experience. But what we're seeing, even though I've used a retail example there, we're seeing that customers, and exactly to your first stat there, Patty, is that the business user is demanding the same kind of experience that they're getting on the retail store, and they want that online. So industrial companies that are selling goods, whether it's industrial building products or parts and machines and things like that, that they might be typically using their local suppliers, they're buying that stuff online now, aren't they? And I think there's we could have stats that we could show all day that support that, but there's a lot of interesting trends there, isn't there?
Very much so. And I'd like to say that's one of the main reasons that APS Payments developed a solution called Click to Pay, because of that experience that now these suppliers are expecting to be available within the different integrations. I'd like to talk a little bit about Click to Pay, and I may be jumping off topic, so Samantha, put me back if I need to go back. But Click to Pay, for those of you that are not familiar with it, allows you to send invoices directly from Acumatica with a Click to Pay button on the body of the invoice. Your customers are able to make their payment online. We automate the process by bringing the information back into Acumatica, updating all of the relevant modules, capturing the funds, depositing them in your bank account the next morning. Completely automated, no need for any manual type of entry. So that is exactly what we've been talking about, where the B2C experience, we've handed it over to you within Acumatica.
And the whole idea is, help people buy, help them pay for it, right? I mean, that's the whole idea. Just get a little, you mentioned the fast and the quick turnaround, and that's what people are looking for today, isn't it? Sam, you were going to say something.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, just to add to that, right? I mean, everyone's so familiar with collecting payments from a B2C market and, consumer-based product market. But I mean, from a B2B perspective, I mean, seeing that number, what is it, 82%, it almost brings back to the point that if 82% of people or businesses are actually thinking about this in the B2B market, then chances are what's going to happen is if you're one of the, 18% that isn't going to do it, then, well, your competitors will. So having that sort of streamlined, efficiency when it comes to collecting payment, making someone's life easier from a consumer, right, as you sell your products to your customers, is just going to be so critical.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And when we talk about B2B as well, I mean, again, when we refer back to, okay, fine, it's relevant for B2C, but what about all the B2B distributors who supply to wholesalers or distributors for the B2C market? Someone's making that stuff, right? Someone's manufacturing it. Someone's actually creating those goods. So if you're able to streamline that, collect payment more efficiently, not only do you have better cash flow, you have a better visibility on your business, but you also, you're supplying goods and sending them out the door much more quickly.
That is absolutely correct. I use this phrase a lot because this is exactly what we're able to provide. Automation, security, compliance. What does that equal to? A happy customer that takes advantage of the options you're offering. And as Samantha said, and I will keep repeating it because I've seen it happen, if you're not offering this, your competitors are.
Well, I mean, and even coming back to the compliance aspect, right? I mean, I know there's still a lot of businesses, in the market today who are running, they might be in a data center, they might not be. Most, some people are still running on premise. And how do you even keep track of all these credit cards and stay PCI compliant, with that kind of architecture? If you get hit by a ransomware, You know, and that's not an uncommon thing, you know, and I've always told people, Google ransomware and then click on the news tab. And when you do that, you'll see how many people are hit locally around your area. I think that's another sort of aspect of it when you come thinking about that, you know, risk of being hit and being targeted.
Sadly enough, we have seen companies go under due to a data breach. I'm sure you've all heard of the big names out there that have had some kind of security breach where the credit cards were compromised. What does that entail? At a bare minimum, just so you get an idea, $100 per card per transaction, not to mention the legal fees, the card brand fees, the bank penalties. You can literally go under. And that all can be avoided by working with a credit card processor, a gateway provider that offers the PCI compliance assistance. And of course, I don't need to reiterate that APS will definitely provide that assistance at no charge.
Yeah, no, it's a very scary topic. I mean, I know I've had, prior to my career with Acumatica, you know, I've worked and I've seen customers get hit, and it was sad. You know, you go through some really hard phone calls, really hard discussions, let's talk about more about, you know, the savings. And I know we want to get into some of the levels and the processings behind it. And Patty, I know you have some interesting information to share as to what's coming to the Canadian market. And I want you to sort of talk about that, and don't want to blow the surprise. So you go ahead for it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for not stealing my thunder. I really am excited to announce that there's a program in place right now for US-based companies. It's called Level 3. For those of you that are not familiar with Level 3, it's a program that was put in place by Visa and Mastercard that basically allows us to lower the rate for any business-to-business or business-to-government transactions. In return, Visa and Mastercard request 13 to 16 data fields. Needless to say, nobody has time to key those fields in, especially if the volume of transaction is a large number, right? So what we've done is we've automated the process. We take the fields out of Acumatica, deliver them on the merchant's behalf, and that instantly allows us to provide the lower rates available. So just so you get an idea, in the US right now, the standard rate is 2.85. It will go down to 1.85 when we submit the Level 3 data fields. And the merchant has to do nothing out of the ordinary other than simply process the cards. The exciting news is that we are working on this same Level 3 functionality to be integrated in Acumatica for the Canadian base. And this should be available in 2021. It's very exciting because, again, the rates can go down considerably. Just so you get an idea, the record-breaking savings for an Acumatica customer has been over $400,000 a year. You heard me correctly, $400,000 a year, simply by processing using Level 3.
Those are just, and sorry, those are just credit card fees. That's the difference in credit card fees that they've saved by using Level 3. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. A typical transaction will the rate will instantly go down in half. We've seen the rates go as low as 0.08% depending on the volume of the transaction.
Nice.
And that's the thing, Canada doesn't currently have the ability to have Level 3, right? So knowing that it's coming, I think, is going to be really, really revolutionary for a lot of customers out there, not only ours, but people in the market and people who are hopefully looking at this and thinking, I should probably streamline my payments a little bit more.
There's probably a few steps involved, you're right? I mean, obviously there's the PCI compliance, which you made that point, and there's obviously the savings, but obviously getting on a more modern platform is probably an easy step to, or not, it's a first step that companies need to think about.
Well, and I wonder, I mean, just to follow up on that, I mean, I wonder why businesses haven't done this yet. Two-part question.
You know, that brings me back to the whole comparison about why continue accepting checks versus automating. So some businesses, and remember everybody, APS is not a partner, not a VAR partner like a Cure. We are an ISV partner, which means we develop products, right? Third-party add-ons. So we're very impartial. And I have to tell you that many prospects of Acumatica will come to us and ask us, do you think we should do this? We're scared. We don't know what it's going to take to to bring our on-premise solution and move it to the cloud? Is it secure? Well, you have the experts. Curious has been in business for a while, and they know exactly, and they have experience with many companies and transitioning them from on-premise solutions to the cloud, from other ERP systems to Acumatica. So you're not talking to someone that is starting the business. You're talking to a company that knows exactly what to do, so you can feel comfortable about making that transition and not be afraid of it. Don't be afraid. My biggest recommendation is ask. Ask. You know, they're not going to charge you for asking what the steps are, what the typical process looks like. And you have the experts on the line right now. Take advantage and ask.
And that's the thing, right? Look at me. I think I might hang you in my office and just let you shower me with compliments all day. This is fabulous. Murray might do the same thing, and I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, there are vendors out there, and I think this is a really hard thing to sort of come by, is whether you're an ISV, whether you're a value-added reseller, whether you're the actual developer of the product. I think a lot of people are a little bit jaded when it comes to using, innovative technology solutions. When we think back even 5, 10, even years ago, ERP was it's a swear word to so many companies. A lot of people hate it. They look at it as an audit trail. But the thing is these softwares, these solutions have changed so much when it comes to a company actually digitally transitioning. It's not just an audit trail. These programs are now created to be more automated and to make you more money. Right? I mean, when we talk about even referrals or predatory vendors out in the market, there are people out there who just want to close a sale and just, implement something, and sometimes it's hard. I know, we've worked with companies in the past who, have also done nothing, but we've made the introduction to APS as well, saying, hey, you know what, it's worth just talking to Patty because they might be able to lower your rates as far as credit card processing fees go.
We definitely appreciate when you bring someone to the table, because what we try to do, and we really strive to educate our merchants and teach them enough about the industry that will allow them to make that educated decision when it comes to credit card processing. I always recommend, definitely do your research. We're not the only credit card processor out there. There are options, but we're different, right? So what exactly are you looking for? Are we able to deliver that functionality? And if so, the savings will follow that functionality because of the level 3 processing and because we are very aggressive when it comes to savings. But overall, I think it's important that you receive the education that you need in order to make the decision and not just get sold on anything, right? And that's where I see a Curious makes a huge difference, because it's not about selling the product, end of story. It's more about, I want to learn enough about your company that I become an extension of your company and give you the solution that I know you will benefit from. Bringing APS on board has been a struggle. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy to join the Curious team. They really made me go through the ringer and analyzed everything that I did, how we presented, and what we provide their customers. They're very picky about who they let in the door. So my being here is not just an honor, it's a testament to what they research and what they look for before they deliver it onto their customers. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, thanks for that, Patty. It is true that one of probably the main thing we look for, there's a lot of merchant accounts and credit card providers, and there's a lot of them out there, and your head can start to spin if you don't know what you're looking for. But the main thing for us is there's a lot of them that are US based and they don't have a Canadian presence, and so that's a really easy one to eliminate a lot of them. But then that's, I think that's a key reason why we're working with you guys, is that you do have that Canadian presence and you understand what it takes to actually deliver solutions in Canada, and then obviously the competitive pricing, and those are the key things there. And obviously the fact you guys are a company and with actual people that we can work with, versus kind of the faceless big banks. So anyway, those are the three things.
So I guess I want to know, if I'm a company and I'm expected to do my research before I going down this path, Patty, what are some of the things that I think you would suggest to someone who might be interested in lowering their rates? What kind of questions should they ask?
I would recommend that you understand your merchant statement. It all begins with understanding the fee structures. if you don't understand what the fee structures are like, you really do have to research. There are 3 different fee structures. I won't go into detail, but they're very different. They can provide you very different pricing. You may qualify for programs that one of the fee structures will not allow you to take advantage of. So that's where it all begins, understanding the fee structures. After that, it's crucial that you understand your merchant statements. I'm going to tell you, and I'm from the industry, so I know this. The credit card processing companies usually try to make the statements as confusing as possible, to hide fees, to increase rates. Understand your statements and know exactly what each line item means. And you can get that information from APS. That is the way that we like to present when we analyze your statements. We show you how to understand how much the bank is making off of your account, how much the card brands are making, which is something that we have no control over, and then how much a processor makes, and what line items do you have control over that you can go back to any processor and demand to get lowered because you're entitled to it. So that's where it really all begins.
I do have a question from the audience here, and it's going to go right to you, Patty. The question is, what does it take to switch to APS Payments?
Very, very simple. We begin with a merchant analysis of your current statements, and the reason we like to go through this analysis, we are able to provide you rates based on the type of card that you're receiving. And it doesn't mean Visa, Mastercard, or American Express. It means, is it a debit card? Is it a corporate card? Visa spending, does it have points? All of that affects the rate. So it begins there. We provide you with a true analysis, help you to understand your statement, and then we walk you through your software, the workflow process, and how you could save time. It typically takes 3 to 5 business days for the underwriters to review an application. Once that application is reviewed, our project managers call you to coordinate an installation date. Our software, implementation, training, maintenance, and support is available at no charge. So really, all it takes is your curiosity. Are you curious to find out whether or not you're leaving money on the table? That's where it all begins. Everything else is up to you.
Thanks, Patty. Hey, so Sam, we've got only 3 minutes left. We've gone through a presentation of 27 minutes, and I haven't heard you give one of your analogies yet. So it's time for that, isn't it? It's got to be.
Yes.
But what should one do next, and how should one go out and evaluate maybe some solutions that are out there?
Do your research, right, Patty, when it comes back to the vacuum. So I had the chance to speak with Patty a few days ago. And we talked about these vacuums, so these iRobot vacuums that we bought. So Patty, what was it? You bought the Shark and you hated it, and you bought it because you didn't do any research. So aren't you just preaching to the choir at this? And at the same time the reason this came up was because I think I was on the call with Patty and the doorbell rang because my new vacuum came, which we ended up ordering a U-fee. After my husband ended up doing some extensive research for about 4 or 5 business days to really understand, the suction capabilities, which one's more affordable, which one sucks the most. And I know you got your Dyson, Patty, and we got the Eufy, but we sort of quantified it in a different way. We're like, well, we can use this one for at least 3 years, and it costs about $250. So if we buy a Dyson and it's only got a year warranty, chances are it's going to break because I'm a klutz. So it's probably not a really good use of our money, but.
I think it's a good example of, it goes with anything. I think it's human nature to be scared of change, and whether it's a new vacuum or a new payment processor, and again, it's there's some easy things to do. One is do your research. Maybe find if you just don't have the time or capacity to research vacuums or payment processors, find a trusted advisor. But is there any other things? Maybe I'll throw it back to you.
Call my husband at this case.
Yeah,
he spends days doing that.
What else are they good for, hey?
It took him 3 days to buy a cutting board, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and we got only a minute or so left here. But any other things? I think just some easy wins or next steps that people can do around some of the stuff. Maybe Patty, last thought.
I would just like to ask everyone to, I want to trigger your curiosity. Even if you're happy with your current processor, get curious about finding out whether or not there's a savings that you are entitled to, as I said before. It's really easy to find that out. If you are interested in a free audit, no strings attached, I promise. Simply send us 3 of your most current merchant statements, and we will walk you through the full analysis. You can always take that information and use it anywhere. And like Samantha said, for me, it was a lesson learned with that vacuum. I didn't do the research. Had I done the research, I would have picked the one that you picked, right? And now it's good that happened to me, because now I can recommend the same thing to my customers and my prospects. Do your research.
My closing thought, Murray, is that, you know what, I think, yeah, it definitely comes back to, you know, doing your research. But I think that, you know, another thing is I think people should have an open mind. When someone's trying to sell you something, there's an opportunity for it to be better. And I would say take it with a grain of salt. I know people, you know, people don't like to be sold to, but people as salespeople are meant to be there to make your life better, save you money, make something more efficient. So I would say just hear them out. You know, that's their job. So being mean to them isn't always fun either. But, you know, when TELUS calls me, I'm like, this is what I got. This is how much internet speed I have. This is my download speed. This is what I'm paying. Can they beat it? And they're like, oh, no, we can't. I'll be like, okay, thanks for trying. We'll play again later.
Well, yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Thanks, Patty, and thanks, Sam, for organizing. But we'll wrap up with that. And thanks for joining us today. And we look forward to, we do these every week, so look forward to talking with you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.